Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Was Betrayed by UA High and Became the Shadow King Vigilante movie. Before we start, please go support Jeff3302J for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Deku is a male. One day, Izuku feels that his friends and teachers are distant and curt with him, but because of a video recorded by a student, everyone thought that the freckled boy was with a league of villains, but they didn't see the other side of the coin, causing them to make the biggest mistake of their lives. Chapter 1. Long ago. We can see a fight raging between two men. One wore white armor with a red cape, while the other wore armor as dark as night, as was his cape. They clashed swords with such force that the mere clash of their blades raised a small ripple of wind. Neither retreated until, little by little, the White Knight began to gain the upper hand. But in a moment of carelessness, the Black Knight managed to deliver a lethal cut with his sword, causing his opponent to let out a groan of pain. However, he was surrounded by an aura that reflected peace and tranquility. Without wasting a moment, his enemy also unleashed his aura, which reflected death, chaos, and pain. Thus, both launched themselves into an attack that would be lethal, and only the strongest would survive. The Black Knight plunged his sword into his enemy's stomach, while the White Knight plunged his sword into a vital area. White Knight. This is over. Plugging his sword deeper, causing the Black Knight to he fell to the ground, and his army retreated, while the White Knight's army quickly carried him to heal him, leaving his enemy's body on the ground next to his sword. Black Knight. And no, I won't die here. Grabbing his sword, he began to speak in a strange language. A cloud with rain and lightning appeared, and as he finished, the cloud slowly began to disappear as he breathed his last. Currently. In the UA principal's office, a student is speaking with the principal. Student. Principal, I have proof that Izuku from class 1 is with a league of villains. Surprising the principal. Nezu. Young man, the accusation you make is quite serious, and if it's a joke, it could result in expulsion. Serious. Student. But I have proof. Taking out his cell phone and playing the video he had recorded, the video shows the green-haired boy walking with a man wearing a hood, covering his face. A closer shot reveals it to be Tamura. The two of them they talked for a while, and as they said goodbye, the freckled boy said a few words and left, thus ending the video. Nezu. Shocked by what he saw, thank you for the information. You may leave, young Monoma. The student bowed and left with a wicked smile. The principal called a meeting, taking advantage of the fact that the students had the day off and could spend it with their families. Once the heroes arrived, the principal told them everything, surprising everyone. Principal Nezu. Principal, that's unacceptable. Young Midoriya would be incapable of doing that. Angry at the accusations against his student. Izawa. Toshinori is right, principal. You can't say that. Nezu. I know it's hard to believe. I didn't believe it either when young Monoma showed me the evidence. So the principal played the same video where, at the end, the heroes had different reactions. The symbol of peace was in shock. That wasn't true, he kept repeating to himself. The next morning, the green-haired boy said goodbye to his mother and went to UA. Upon arriving, he noticed several stares that made him nervous. When he entered his classroom, he greeted his friends, but strangely, they didn't greet him back. They simply ignored him and left. After a few minutes, the teacher arrived with his usual serious expression, but this time his gaze was fixed on the green-haired boy, making him sweat profusely. When the period ended, everyone was about to leave when Izawa called the green-haired boy's attention. Izawa. Izuku, you stay here. Once everyone had left, the black-haired boy told the freckled boy to follow him. They went to the office, where upon entering, he could feeling the tense atmosphere. Nezu said. Young Midoriya, please take a seat. The green-haired boy sat down. Well, young man, you're here for working with a league of villains. This shocked the freckled boy. Izuku stammered. Sorry. Izawa said. Stop pretending, Izuku. Just tell us the league's location, and then we'll think about your punishment. Izuku stammered. But I didn't. But they didn't let him finish, as all the teachers started yelling at him. He turned his gaze towards his teacher and father figure. Izuku said. Almight, you know I wouldn't be a traitor, right? But the symbol of peace lowered his head, leaving the green-haired boy in shock, remembering the good times he spent with his teacher, only to have him turn his back on him. Almight said. I'm sorry, young Midoriya, but I can no longer trust you. Izuku said. Please believe me. Crying. Almight said. I'm sorry, but I need you to give me back one for all. Still with his head down, he stretched out his head. The green-haired boy was hurt by what he heard. It was like a stab in the back. He felt anger, rage, and above all, betrayal. So he grabbed a chair and smashed a window behind the principal, leaping into the air. Nezu. Don't let him escape. Warn the students. Almight. So he was the traitor. Sadly. Izawa. I know. I can't believe it either, but now we have to stop him before he goes to the League and warns the villains. Almight. You're right. Transforming into his muscular form, now he's a villain. Leaping into the air. While the students had received the warning, they all felt hatred towards the freckled boy. Bakugu. I'll kill that nerd. Creating explosions. Ida. How could I have been friends with that traitor? Each of his friends insulted the green-haired boy while he ran without stopping. He knew that if they found him, they would attack him mercilessly. The more he ran, the more memories flashed through his mind. How he met his friends, the good times he spent with them. When he was far away, he fell to the ground, shedding his tears. Chapter 2. The students and teachers quickly deployed a search area within a 15-kilometer radius. Meanwhile, the green-haired boy got up and continued walking until he noticed a human figure watching him from afar. The figure moved ahead to get his attention. When Izuku stopped, he saw nothing, so he sat back down, raising his head to look at the sky before lowering his gaze. All he wanted was for the earth to swallow him whole. Luckily, his words were heard as the ground beneath him opened up, causing him to fall. At the edge, he saw that strange figure. Izuku. Ouch, that hurt. As he got up, where am I? As he tried to see, since it was completely dark, he walked until he bumped into a wall. Izuku. I'd better go. But just then, several torches lit up, creating a path to a sword placed on an altar. Wow. So the green-haired boy walked towards the sword. When he stood before it, he was mesmerized, as if his body were moving through the air. If he only raised the sword, to the freckled boy's eyes it was beautiful, but then he cut himself a little, causing some drops to fall onto the blade, making it glow and reveal an inscription. Curiosity got the better of him, and before he could do anything, he heard a voice. He turned around but found nothing, but then he heard it again, and when he looked down, he realized that the one speaking to him was none other than the sword. He dropped it and quickly stepped back. Izuku. What was that? A little flustered. Calm down, Izuku. Maybe you hit your head hard from the fall, and now you're imagining you're hearing voices. Yeah, that's it, haha, trying to calm down, but then the voice spoke. Actually, kid, you're not imagining things. This left the green-haired boy in shock. Hey, kid. But the green-haired boy fainted. After a few minutes, he got up again. Izuku. Ah, what a crazy dream. I thought a sword was talking to me and that I'd been falsely accused. Haha, he started laughing, but little by little his smile faded when he saw the sword on the ground. Izuku. So it wasn't a dream, it really happened, starting to cry. Hey kid, are you okay? Said the sword still on the ground. Izuku. Why yes, wiping his tears. Why don't you tell me what happened? The green-haired boy thought for a few minutes. Would he really tell a talking sword? But he needed to vent, so he told it his whole life story, from how he discovered he was quirkless, how he met the symbol of peace, how he made his friends, and the adventures he had with them. Izuku. That's all. How ironic, isn't it? Letting out a small laugh, it's weird telling my life story to a talking sword. Kid, I understand your pain. Izuku. Oh yeah. That's right, by the way, what's your name? Izuku. Izuku Midoriya. It's nice to meet you, Izuku. My name is Shadow. Izuku. Shadow. What kind of name is that? Confused. Shadow. Well, it's the name my enemies gave me. Izuku. Your enemies? Shadow. I'll tell you my story. You know, I wasn't always a sword. Izuku. Oh no. Shadow. No, I used to be a king. Surprising the green-haired boy. Shadow. Listen carefully. Several years ago, I had a brother. We were inseparable. Together, we conquered several nations. We were feared and respected. But one day, he betrayed me. He framed me for killing an entire village that was our ally, just to take the throne. I was exiled and later married. All my friends and those I considered family looked at me with hatred. I couldn't trust anyone anymore, so I decided to build my own kingdom, thus earning the name of the Shadow King, since I moved in the shadows, and he was so fast he was almost undetectable, until the day I had to fight my brother. That day I didn't have all my power, that's why I lost, but before dying I used the last of my power and transferred my soul to my sword. The green-haired boy was shocked by the story. He too had gone through the same thing, he was like him, but there was something evil coming from the sword, something terrifying. Izuku. And how did you end up here? Shadow. In my last fight with my brother, we both ended up in very bad shape, so one of my followers took me, and that's how they built this temple for me. Izuku. And where are they? Shadow. They swore loyalty to me forever. Once they finished building this temple, they searched tirelessly for a worthy heir. Izuku. Excuse me, can I ask you a question? Shadow. Tell me, boy. Izuku. You said before that you didn't have all your power, what is your power? Shadow. My power has no limit since I can use dark magic. Izuku. Dark magic. Surprised. Shadow. It's something I can't explain, but by surrendering to the darkness you can have a power never seen before, an unparalleled power. Izuku. Wow, that's interesting. Starting to murmur. A few minutes passed with the freckled boy completely lost in thought while the heroes continued searching for Izuku. The rumor that he was part of the League of Villains spread, reaching the news, which repeatedly reported that Izuku was the traitor infiltrated at UA. Inko was stopped by several heroes and reporters, repeatedly telling them that her son was innocent and would never be a traitor. She knew her son would be incapable of such a thing. He had always wanted to be a hero. But the pressure and worry became so great that the poor woman suffered a heart attack and died at home. Back with the freckled boy, he witnessed his mother's death thanks to Shadow, who showed him a glimpse of his power, causing the green-haired boy to burst into tears. Shadow. Izuku, be my heir. I see great potential in you. What do you say? With my power, you can avenge the heroes who killed your mother. A dark aura emanated from the sword. Izuku. I accept, with a somber look as he gripped the sword. Chapter 3. Shadow. Alright kid, but first you have to do something. Izuku. Anything. His gaze was filled with anger. Shadow. Put me back on the altar. Once there, you'll have to surrender completely to the darkness. This last part scared Izuku, but he had nothing left to lose. Izuku. Fine, I'll surrender to the darkness. He led me back to where the sword was and placed it. Shadow. Good. Now all you have to do is put a drop of your blood on me and say these words that are inscribed on it. Are you ready? The green-haired boy nodded. The green-haired boy made a small cut, just enough for a drop to fall. When it fell on the sword, the letters glowed. The green-haired boy began to read. Izuku. I will summon the forces of evil from the depths of earth and sea. There was a small tremor. Shadow. Pay no attention to what happens, just keep going. Izuku. Oh okay, ancient evils. Those who have not awakened, break what cannot be broken, while outside a storm appeared, something that disoriented everyone as they looked at the sky, while in the cave the torches moved as if they could go out at any second. To the darkness I give my heart, my soul black as coal, I summon you thus. Lethal power, causing a black aura to come out of the sword and begin to cover the green-haired boy, while the silhouette that observed in the darkness smiled happily to be able to witness this moment, my enemy will fall. Thus the torches went out and when they were lit they were a dark blue color, while the green-haired boy was being completely covered by the dark aura, where it entered through his nose, mouth and eyes, making them turn black. He was levitating until the aura entered completely into him, making him fall to the ground, making the torches return to normal. After a few hours the freckled boy had woken up, but he looked totally different, he had grown as well his musculature and his mere presence would send even the bravest running. At that moment, the figure decided to emerge from the shadows and, standing before him, knelt, showing respect and loyalty. Meanwhile, outside, the storm vanished, allowing people to return to normal. Subject. Your Majesty, I am glad you have returned. I forgive you for making you wait so many years, but it seems you suffered some setbacks since you left us. The long life you granted us has slowly begun to fade. Thus removing his hood, revealing a person who looked as though he could die at any moment. Subject. Unfortunately, the others weren't so lucky, but we made a pact that it didn't matter if we gave our lives for you to return. So each of us gave your life so you could live and witness this wonderful day. A tear rolled down his cheek. Izuku. It was worth waiting so many years. This boy has destructive power, and combined with my magic, I'll be unstoppable, and my dear brother won't be here to stop me. Subject. And what will you do now, Your Majesty? Izuku. First, I'll have to get used to my new body. Transferring my soul into this boy's body left me exhausted, but first, let me reward you for bringing me this boy. He placed his hand on the boy's face, allowing the same aura that entered the freckled boy to enter through his eyes, nose, and mouth, causing him to writhe in pain. He then withdrew his hand. The subject stood up, a little dazed, but he soon recovered. He felt better than ever. As he approached a puddle of water and was surprised that he had rejuvenated. Subject. Oh, Your Majesty, thank you very much. You are so kind. While thanking him repeatedly. Izuku. Don't thank me. Tomorrow I will bring the others back. By the way, I need to rest to recover my power. Subject. As you wish, sir. So the freckled boy took his sword and put it on his back. As they left the cave. Izuku. Ah, I miss this feeling. While breathing deeply and looking at the landscape. Subject. Sir, not to interrupt, but are they looking for the boy who is now you? Izuku. You are right. Taking the robe of his loyal servant, putting it on and pulling up the hood, well, now, where to? Subject. This way. So the two walked for a few hours until they reached a small hut that was well hidden by the trees. Subject. I'm sorry if it's not to your liking, but it's the best I could get. Izuku. Don't worry, it will do for now. By the way, what do you know about that league of the boys? Memories of that league are very few. Subject. Well, I only know that it's an organization that recruits villains and that its leader is called All for One. Izuku. All for One, huh? Well, I already have a plan. Wow, this kid can come up with more than just one plan. Seeing that in his mind every minute a new plan was created, each one better than the last. Subject. And what will you do? While waiting for an answer from his king with excitement. Izuku. I want you to find out more about that league. I have big plans for them. Subject. You always know what's best for you, but I have a question, and that is, what will happen to the heroes? Izuku. For now, I'll just keep a low profile so as not to attract attention until things calm down. If I see them interfering with my plans, I'll have no choice but to eliminate them. Subject. I understand. Well, rest well, sir. Thus leaving. So the freckled boy lay down, but in his dreams he saw everything he had endured, the mistreatment from his best friend, even how he broke his bones in training, or to save his friends. He woke up to find it was already daytime. Izuku. My god, this boy has really suffered. Don't worry, Izuku, I'll take care of avenging your dear mother. A dark aura formed in his hand. Chapter 4. The next morning, the freckled boy woke up, feeling his powers slowly returning to him. Subject. I see you're awake, sir, bowing. I've brought you your breakfast. Serving it to him, the freckled boy ate like never before. Izuku. Ah, after so many years trapped in my sword, it's good to eat something again. It's time to bring the others. Subject. As you wish, excited. They left the house and headed to a cave where there were several coffins. Izuku. It's time. He began to draw a pentagram and play several candles. The freckled boy began his chant, and the cave began to shake as if it were about to collapse. A dark mist began to emerge from the circle, entering the coffins, which then began to shake violently until finally the freckled boy finished and the coffin lids flew off. Several people emerged, forming a small army. When they saw Izuku, they all stood guard, and when they were about to attack him, the green-haired boy activated Ofa combined with his magic, and in the blink of an eye, half his army was wounded, though the wounds regenerated quickly. Soldier 1. Wait a minute, that power belongs to Soldier 2. Our king. Thus, each of the soldiers knelt before their emperor. Some couldn't hold back their tears at seeing their king again. They would follow him until the end of time. Izuku told them what had happened and what he was planning to do, while the heroes continued their tireless search for the green-haired boy. Returning to the freckled boy, he and his army arrived at the ruins of an ancient castle. With his magic, the green-haired boy began to rebuild the once destroyed castle. He also created a dense fog to conceal it. He also empowered his soldiers, slowly rebuilding his once great empire. He had sent several of his followers to gather information about the League of Villains, since, according to Izuku's memories, some villains possessed very interesting quirks that he didn't dare reach their full potential. The week jumps ahead. During that week, the teachers trained their students more intensely, as they didn't know what the villains were planning. Class 1A was being surpassed by Class 1B, leading to fights and arguments in Class 1A as they focused on each other because they didn't know how to work as a team. The symbol of peace was personally training Katsuki Bakugo, who was becoming more arrogant every day since he was receiving better training than the other students. Meanwhile, Izuku's followers obtained very good information about the league, so he decided that tomorrow he would pay them a small visit. However, he planned to do so out of respect for the owner of his current body. He waited until nightfall and then left for his mother's house. Upon entering, he searched for Inko's body until he found it, carefully carrying her. Izuku. Well, kid, at least you're reunited with your dear mother. With that, he activated One for All in his feet, leaping high up a hill. There, he dug a grave and built a gravestone and without realizing it, he was shedding some tears. Izuku. It seems this boy's strong feelings are still there, while wiping away his tears. Meanwhile, at UA, the teachers were talking about where the green-haired boy could be until Almight thought he might be at his mother's house. So, without saying anything, he left. None of those present noticed he was gone, since his top priority was finding the freckled boy. The symbol of peace transformed into his muscular form and, with a great leap, headed towards the house of his now former successor. Upon arriving, he saw that the door was open, so he went on guard, but upon entering, he saw no one. Almight. Excuse me, Mrs. Midoriya, calling, but receiving no response. He walked to the kitchen and saw that some dishes were dirty, as if no one lived there. He went upstairs to the bedrooms but found no one until he entered the green-haired boy's room and, upon turning on the light, saw everything he had of his, which made him sad. He walked to he saw a picture of the two of them at the table, a father-son photo that brought a tear to his eye. Almight. Why, Midoriya, shonen. Why did you betray us? He put the picture down, but as he did, a notebook fell to the floor. He picked it up. It was somewhat worn. He started looking through it, but there was nothing interesting until he reached a page with his signature. The image of how he saved him from the sludge villain flashed before his eyes. Izuku? It can't be. It's All Might. Excitedly. Then he remembered when the green-haired boy had clung to his leg. Izuku? I have so many things I need to ask you. While clinging tightly to his leg to avoid falling. Then he remembered when he asked him if he could be a hero. Izuku? Can a person without a quirk become a hero? Then several flashbacks came to him of how he always worked hard cleaning the beach, of the good times they had shared, all while tears streamed from his eyes until he was crying. All Might. I'm so sorry, kid, clenching his fists helplessly, but now I have to stop you, leaving the notebook on the bed and closing the door, leaving the house where he turned one last time to see her, then taking a running start he jumped high, leaving a small crater in the ground. Chapter 5. The green-haired boy had already begun rebuilding his empire. The forest where he was located was named the Forest of Doom, since anyone who entered never came out. This attracted the attention of several heroes, including reporters. Some heroes, driven by fame, decided to enter the forest, promising to return. But those were their last words, as they were never seen again. Thus, he forbade anyone from entering the forest. What was really happening was that every person who entered was captured and taken to the freckled boy, where he added them to his ranks, brainwashing them and changing their memories. Little by little, he was building an army to conquer all of Japan. Meanwhile, Izuku, along with his two best soldiers, was preparing to pay a little visit to the League of Villains, since he had located their hideout. Without further ado, he set off quickly into the dark night, illuminated only by the moonlight. After a few hours, they arrived at a bar where, upon entering, they saw several villains sitting. When they saw the three newcomers they entered and stared at them. They sat at the bar. The freckled one sat next to a man with several hands glued to his body, and they ordered drinks. The bartender was like a mist. Upon seeing them, he simply gave them what they asked for. Kurogiri. Tell me, what brings you here? Izuku. Oh, nothing in particular, I just came to propose a deal. At that, the person sitting next to the green-haired man stopped what he was doing and looked at him. A deal? And what exactly do you want? Somewhat irritated. Kurogiri. Tamura, calm down. But why should we trust you? Izuku. Well, it's because we've met a few times before. Leaving everyone confused, but they saw him lower his hood and they were all surprised. They quickly got into fighting stances, ready to attack, but the soldiers quickly stood up and also got into fighting stances, ready to protect their king. Izuku. Calm down, I didn't come to fight. Calming his men. Tamura. Give us one good reason why I shouldn't disintegrate you right now. As he grabbed a freckled boy's glass, disintegrating it as a warning, a screen flashed, showing the league's founder and the #1 villain. Afo. Tamura, calm down. Tamura. But, sensei, one look from Tamura was enough to silence him. TSK. Izuku. Well, to answer your question, as you know, I was unjustly framed and my friends now want me dead. Another reason to trust me is that I'm not the person you think I am. Confusing the villains. Afo. What do you mean? Izuku. Well, you see, thus beginning to tell them everything that happened, causing some villains to disbelieve him while others were confused. Afo. That seems impossible to me. Izuku. How about I give you a demonstration, like, for example, healing his face. Surprising everyone. Afo. What are you saying? Surprised but then becoming serious. Izuku. I know, how about we make a deal? Drawing the villain's attention, if I can't heal him, I'll give you Ofa. Making green lightning appear in his hand, causing the most feared villain's mouth to open, but if I succeed, all of you will be my servants, so, deal. After saying that, there was an awkward silence where the tension could be felt in the air until everyone saw how the villain on the screen began to laugh. Afo. Fine, I accept. Kurogiri, bring me the boy. Kurogiri. Of course, sensei. Thus opening a portal where the green-haired boy was going to enter, but before he did, he spoke to his soldiers. That they wait here, which they accepted, but they received the gaze of everyone present. The freckled boy went out to a room where there were several breathing machines connected to the villain. Afo. Well, let's begin. Izuku. Sure. So the freckled boy began to make a pentagram where he let some drops of his blood fall. The pentagram began to glow. Izuku began to say some words while with his hand he held the villain's head. Little by little a dark mist began to appear and began to rise through the freckled boy's body until it reached the hand that held the villain's head. It began to enter through the villain's mouth while the machines that showed his vital signs were accelerating until the typical sound that someone has died was heard. Izuku. Well, I'm done. removing his hand. So he waited a few minutes until the machine began to pick up his heart rate, indicating that he was alive. Afo. What was all that? Izuku. Nothing special, I just fulfilled the deal we made. Taking a mirror and giving it to Afo, the mirror, and upon seeing himself, he dropped the mirror, causing it to shatter. Afo. I am possible, unable to believe it. Izuku. Well, it's time to fulfill our part of the deal, right? Afo. Seeing himself in the reflection of a machine, he couldn't believe it. He was in shock. Izuku. Is everything alright? As he approached the villain, but receiving no response, he placed his hand on his shoulder, snapping him out of his shock. Afo. Why yes, everything is fine. It's just that, wow, for years I've tried to return to normal, but it was impossible, and from one day to the next, I'm as good as new. It's simply. Izuku. Magical, finishing the villain's word, causing him to jerk his head back. I know, but I can teach you more than just returning your face to normal. Afo. Really? Izuku. That's right. Become my pupil, and I promise to teach you everything I know. All my knowledge can be yours. The only thing you have to do is serve me until the end. What do you say, Afo? Extending his hand. Afo. Kneeling, I accept. Please teach me everything you know, master. Izuku. Please stand. Then it's time to begin my plan, but I think you'll have to tell the others first, don't you think? Afo. Of course, master. Kurogiri, open a portal. A portal appears. Izuku. Okay, let's go. Entering the portal. Chapter 6. Upon exiting the portal, the entire league of villains stared in disbelief at the sight of their healed leader. No one spoke until Kurogiri snapped out of his shock. Kurogiri. Sensei. Afo. Kurogiri, then he seized the entire league. Listen up, everyone. From this day forward, the League of Villains will serve the Shadow King. Amazing everyone. Tamura. Sensei, are you serious? Not believing what Afo had said. Afo. That's right. Anyone who disagrees with this can stand up and leave. At that moment, some villains stood up, but before they could leave, they collapsed and died. The number one villain then approached them and stole their quirks. The other villains who witnessed this were startled and took a step back. Afo. Does anyone else want to leave? But he saw the other villains shake their heads. Then the green-haired boy drew everyone's attention. Izuku. Alright, the first thing we'll do is go to my castle. Second, I want the league to make a video explaining what really happened. Tamura. And why would we do that? While scratching his neck. Izuku. That's easy. To weaken them, they'll be so devastated by what they did and will try to find me. If I am not mistaken, it will take them a while to recover from the shock, which will give us a few days to expand my army but he was interrupted by Tamura. Tamura. TSK, get to the point. Izuku. Fine. Somewhat annoyed, which, if that happens, will give us time to enter Tartara's prison and get some villains who will be useful to me. And those who refuse, Afo will take care of stealing their quirks. Well, that would be all. Now we have to go. Putting on his hood. So the whole league got ready and left while the soldiers took the bodies they could of the villains who had died. Minutes passed and they finally arrived at the castle where the whole league was impressed, but as they passed through the corridors, several guards pointed crossbows at them, but they were stopped by the freckled boy who raised his hand, thus calling one of his followers. He told them to take everyone to see the castle and then to their rooms. But he stopped Afo since he was going to talk to him, so the two took different paths. Afo. And what is it you have to tell me, master? Izuku. I have a gift for you. So the two walked until they reached a small laboratory. Izuku. I want you to personally create those nanas. Impressing the villain. Afo. That's incredible, but I wasn't the one who created them. I only gave the orders. Izuku. I see. Starting to mutter various things. Afo. Oh okay. Izuku. If that's not good, then I want you to bring the one who created the nanas. Then I want you to give them quirks. Afo. At your service. Bowling. So the freckled boy retired to his room, while at UA, a gray-haired boy could be seen training tirelessly. Almight. Young Bakugu, that's enough. Pitsuki. No. While creating another explosion, I will be stronger than all the extras and I will be the next symbol of peace. Thus unleashing lightning, making his explosions powerful. And so they returned to training, while Almight watched him with a sad expression upon seeing his new successor. He thought that what he did was right, while Bakugu had an arrogant smile upon seeing his new power. Chapter 7. Days passed, and no hero found a trace of Izuku. It was as if the earth had swallowed him whole. Meanwhile, the green-haired boy kept watch on the heroes and devised strategies to eliminate them. He also taught All For One everything about dark magic, which impressed All For One, who was absorbing a great deal of knowledge. However, something bothered the green-haired boy. The manufacturing process for the non-us was taking a long time, but it was necessary if he wanted them to be incredibly durable. The green-haired boy had decided he would have 5 knights who would possess power greater than that of his army. The first was All for One, the second Kurogiri, and the third Tamura, though he accepted reluctantly. In the days he spent under his new leader's command, he had grown quite fond of him, even if he never showed it. The freckled boy had to choose his last 2 knights carefully, but 2 villains he had faced before, who possessed great potential, quickly came to mind. The green-haired boy sat on his throne, gazing at his old friends. Until Kurogiri appeared in front of him, bowing. Izuku. Kurogiri, what are you doing here? I don't recall requesting your presence. Kurogiri. I'm sorry if I bothered you, but I wanted to let you know that everyone is ready and we've also obtained what you asked for, showing him a flash. The freckled boy took it and stood up, raising the flash, while a red glow could be seen in his eyes. Izuku. Well, it's time to send the heroes a gift, while forming a macabre smile. In the middle of the city, people were going about their normal lives. Everything was calm until all the screens began to malfunction, drawing everyone's attention. Meanwhile, at UA, the same thing was happening, and a screen lit up showing a silhouette, but its face wasn't visible. It began to speak. I'm sorry to interrupt your broadcast, but I've brought you some real entertainment, moving closer, revealing it was Toga with a smile. Then, showing what had really happened, she changed, revealing the number 1 villain wearing his helmet, which made everyone a chill ran down his spine, as the younger ones began to tremble with fear. At UA, the symbol was in shock at seeing his mortal enemy alive. Without realizing it, he was in his muscular form, his hand being pressed hard on a table, breaking it. Afo. I want to say something directed at UA, especially to you, symbol of peace. He stared intently at the camera, which made the symbol of peace also stare intently at the screen. It was as if the two were face to face. Afo. The boy Izuku Midoriya, who was framed as a traitor, betrayed by his friends, teachers, and especially by the person he admired. While saying this, the video played in which the teachers tried to attack him, and the horrible things his friends said about the freckled boy. I regret to inform you that he is not the traitor of UA, saying this shocked everyone. Almight. W what? In shock. Afo. Just as I said, he is not the traitor of UA. In fact, there never was a traitor. It's a shame you can't save him. He stared at the camera for a few minutes, but Almight knew that last sentence was for him, making him even angrier, causing the ground beneath him to begin cracking, but he was stopped by Aizawa and the principal. Nezu. Toshinori, calm down. In a sad tone. Almight. Young Midoriya was innocent. Then he had a brief flashback of what the freckled boy had said to him. Izuku. Almight, you do believe me, right? A glimmer of hope could be seen in his eyes. Almight. Returning to his skeletal form and leaving. Nezu. It's best to give him some time. Looking at the black-haired boy. Aizawa. Yes. He also left. While Class 1 was in shock, except for the Muslim boy, each one was affected in different ways, but the most affected was Todoroki, since he betrayed his friend, in fact, his only friend, the one who helped him use his fire side, the one who helped him reconcile with his mother, the one who gave him a new purpose in life. The freckled boy was always there to help him, and how did he repay him by betraying him? Now he didn't know if he could consider himself his friend. The only thing he could do was get up and leave the classroom, while in his gaze sadness and disappointment were evident, sadness for betraying his friend, and disappointment in himself for believing that he was actually the traitor. Meanwhile, the green-haired boy had seen everything and all he could do was let out a deranged laugh, heading to a room where his knights and some of his followers were gathered. Izuku. You did well, too well if I'm being honest, showing his smile. Izuku. But it's time to move on to phase 2. Afo. And what will we do, master? Izuku. We will do the following. Kurogiri will create a portal inside the prison. Once there, I want the others to take care of eliminating all the guards. Afo, you will be in charge of taking away the quirks of those who don't want to follow me while I look for my last 2 knights. Toga. And why can't I be a knight? Throwing a tantrum. Izuku. I already told you, you're very unstable. Toga. It's not fair. You made Tamura a knight and he's unstable too. Pointing at him. Tamura. Watch what you say, brat. Staring at her while Toga stuck her tongue out at him. Toga. I want an important position too, one where I can kill a lot of people. Blushing. Izuku. Sighing, fine then, you'll be my general when we start the war. Toga. Yes. I'll be a general. Skipping away like a little girl. Afo. Surely we should let her be a general. Izuku. That'll keep me from bothering her for now. Chapter 8. Izuku. Go and get ready, we'll be starting the attack on Tartaro soon. Everyone got up and left, leaving only one of his followers behind. Izuku. Is something wrong? Looking at the man. Man. My lord, I have a question. Izuku. And what is it? Man. Why do you name those people your knights? Somewhat angrily. Izuku. Is that it? Knowing what he meant, I know you served me faithfully, but I can't make you one of my knights. Leaving his follower in shock. Man. Sorry, why can't I? Still in disbelief, didn't I do enough? Because if that's the case, I can do much more, my lord. I can even eliminate that Almight guy. Izuku. No. Shouting at him, it's just that you don't yet have what it takes to do it. Thus leaving, he left the man. Man. I don't have what it takes. Falling to his knees, I don't have what it takes, no I have what I need. He started laughing as he stood up, approached a table with some things on it, and threw everything onto the floor, his eyes reflecting anger. Subject. I don't have what I need. He shouted angrily, but then an idea came to him. I'll show him I have what I need. So he left the place. After a few hours, everyone was ready, just waiting for the green-haired boy. Kneeling. Izuku said. Alright, let's begin. Kurogiri, it's your turn. Kurogiri. As I command. He opened a portal. Izuku. Good, be prepared. Entering the portal, followed by the others, they appeared in the middle of the pressure. Guard 1. What the hell? He didn't finish because several villains came out and started attacking all the guards there. Once there was no one left, the green-haired boy spoke. Izuku. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have come to propose a deal. Villain 1. But look what we have here, a kid. Villain 2. Hey, brat, why don't you let us go? Little by little, each villain began to mock him, bothering Afo, who was about to attack them, but was stopped by the green-haired boy. Izuku. Calm down, remember I need you. Calming the villain, listen to me carefully. Shouting, drawing the attention of all the villains, but none of them paid attention. Villain 1. Hey, shut up, the kid wants to talk. He said it in a mocking tone, making the other villains start laughing, gradually quieting down to see what the green-haired boy wanted to say. Izuku. What I want to tell you is that you serve me faithfully. In exchange, I promise you freedom and power. But then the same villain started laughing, followed by the others. Villains. And I promise you freedom and power. Hahaha, you're right. Just get us out of here, brat, and we promise not to hurt you. Izuku. Kill him already. 5 more. Looking at Afo. Afo? As you command, showing a sadistic smile. So he began to obey the order. At that moment, the villain felt true terror. Villain. Wait, see, can we talk about this? Afo? I'm sorry, but you disrespected my master, and now you will pay for it with your life. After a few minutes, he had finished with him and the other villains. He had also obtained new quirks. Izuku. Ahem, anyone else? But he received no response since all the villains were afraid. I thought so. Izuku. You guys take care of eliminating the rebels. Tamura, you're coming with me. So the two continued walking until they reached an area where the most dangerous villains were imprisoned. They walked until they reached a door. The green-haired boy pointed it out. Tamura approached and put his hand out, disintegrating the door. Izuku. Wait here. Training. Well, look who we have here. What brings the betrayed hero, Izuku Midoriya, here? Izuku, it's also good to see you, Stain. The hero killer. Stain. And tell me, what brings you here? Izuku. I have a proposition for you. Making the villain raise an eyebrow, I want you to serve me, and in return, I will give you power. Stain. Who are you? In a serious tone. Izuku. What do you mean? Stain. Let's drop this. You're not the real hero who fought me. Izuku. Smiling, you're right. Let me introduce myself. My name is the Shadow King. So, starting to tell him everything. Stain. Alright, I accept. Izuku. That's what I wanted to hear. So, approaching the chains and activating his power, he broke the chains, thus freeing himself. Izuku. Well, it's time to see the next one. So, leaving, where Tamura and Stain stood looking at each other, exchanging a death glare, the three headed to the next door. Tamura. Are you sure you want him? Stain. You know, there are many better choices in this place. Izuku. I know, but he's someone who's all muscle but no brains. He's perfect for manipulation. As he went ahead, leaving behind the two who only looked at each other and followed the freckled boy. When Tamura arrived, he did the same thing again, but they saw someone completely chained and sedated. So the green-haired boy removed the sedative. Sighing, raising his head and looking at the freckled boy, I swear I'll kill you, trying to free himself, but it was useless. When I get my hands on you, you'll regret it. Tamura. It's a waste of time, whispering in the freckled boy's ear. Izuku. You know, I have a proposition for you, Muscular. Muscular? And you think I'll accept your proposal? Izuku. Just listen, all you have to do is serve me faithfully and in return, I'll give you power, but he only saw Muscular pretending to be asleep, letting out a sigh. Izuku. And with the power I'll give you, you'll be able to kill some of the top heroes. Muscular. I accept. He said happily. Izuku. Release him. Looking at Tamura. So he accepted and released him. The four returned to where the others were, but they saw several bodies on the ground and a toga jumping around like a little girl in a candy store. Izuku. I see you're finished. Afo. That's right. I've eliminated those who tried to oppose us. Meanwhile, in the control room, a guard was hiding, trembling with fear. He crawled and pressed the alarm, but Kurogiri appeared behind him and eliminated him. Izuku. Well, we're done here, Kurogiri. Let's go home. Kurogiri. Of course. He opened a portal where they all entered. Chapter 9. Everyone exited the portal, and Izuku ordered his servants to show the new members around. Meanwhile, the heroes were all in Tartarus prison searching for signs of life, but everything was chaos. The villains' bodies were strewn on the ground like trash. Almight. What happened? Looking at the terrible scene. Endeavor. I don't know, but something tells me this is just the beginning. He said this seriously, his face reflecting disgust at the massacre. Police Officer 1. Almight, Endeavor this way. Calling the attention of the symbol of peace and the number 2 hero. The two followed the police officer to the security cameras. The officer played the video of the last few hours of what had happened. At first, they only saw a portal open, and what they saw left them in shock. They saw the green-haired boy, but every time he passed in front of a camera, it would start malfunctioning or display static, distorting the image. And no, it can't be, taking a step back, but his balance failed him, and before he fell he was caught by the number 2 hero. Endeavor. Are you alright? Why yes, it's nothing, I just need to think. Leaving. Policeman 1. And now what will we do? Endeavor. You do nothing, this is a problem only we can face. Leaving. Endeavor's thoughts. I think we can't win this battle, maybe it's a punishment or karma taking revenge, but whatever it is, we'll have to fight with everything we've got. Meanwhile, the symbol of peace had gone to a distant place where he was thinking about everything he had seen. He couldn't believe it, no, it wasn't that. He didn't want to accept that because of his mistake, his disciple had now become a villain. All this was seen by the green-haired man who could only smile from ear to ear. Then he started walking and saw his 2 new knights. Muscular. Why do I have to wear stupid armor? How am I supposed to kill like this? Stain. I think the same, if I wear this, how will I be able to move quickly? All of this was overheard by the freckled boy who approached them. Izuku. Don't worry about that, these armors are special, each one was created specifically for them. Muscular. Really? Activating his quirk, he saw how the armor also grew larger. This is great. The hero killer did the same and saw that the armor was lightweight, smiling. Izuku. Stain, I have a gift for you. Calling his attention, he snapped his fingers and a servant brought the villain's katanas. Izuku. If you don't mind, I made some small modifications to them. Handing him the katanas. Stain. Modifications. Confused. Izuku. That's right, you see, if you look closely, they have a small button, and if you press it, but he didn't finish because the villain pressed them, causing them to glow an intense red as if they were burning. Stain. And this? Izuku. Well, you see, those buttons make your sword heat up to the point of cutting metal, but don't worry about your katanas, they won't melt. Stain. Wow, this is impressive, but how am I supposed to use my quirk without burning my tongue? Izuku. That's why you don't have to worry, because when the time comes, you won't have to worry. As he took the katana and put his hand on the red-hot blade, both Stain and Muscular were impressed that the freckled boy's hand didn't burn, so they gave it back to him. Izuku. Well, I have to go. And so he left. At UA, the number 2 hero can be seen informing the principal of everything that happened, who was shocked by what had happened. Said by the hero. Nezu. I see, it's best not to inform the students. Endeavor. Are you sure? A little hesitant. Nezu. If they can't get over what they did to their classmate, and if they find out that their classmate has now become a villain because of us, then things will only get worse. Endeavor. Fine, then if you have nothing more to say to me, I'll take my leave. Leaving the office, leaving the principal alone with his papers. Nezu. But what have we done? Looking at the window through which the green-haired boy escaped. What they didn't know was that before the number 2 hero left, they were being overheard by a bi-colored boy who was heading to speak with the principal. So he went to his room, and upon entering, he fell to his knees. Beneath him, the floor began to freeze, and little by little, his room began to freeze until his own body began to freeze. But then something came to him, so he got up and went to his desk, knocking everything on it to the floor. He then took out a photo he had with her friend, she placed it on her desk and began investigating where the green-haired boy could be. Meanwhile, in the living room, the students of Class A were watching television until they saw a news report about what had happened at Tartaro's prison. It was revealed that the whole thing had been orchestrated by the green-haired boy, as the number 2 hero had ordered the broadcast of false information. News report. There was a riot at Tartaro's prison where, apparently, the villains attacked the guards. Some of the villains died in their escape attempt. For now, the heroes are searching for all the villains who managed to escape. The student turned off the screen. Uraraka. It can't be. Horrified by the images she saw. Denki. The villains escaped. Trembling with fear. So each one began to give their opinions on what would happen until they fell silent upon hearing an explosion. Tatsuki. Shut up, you damn extras. Besides, I could stop all those villains in a week. Giving an arrogant smile. His companions were already a little tired of the ash-haired boy's behavior, but no one said anything since they didn't want to go with Recovery Girl. Chapter 10. Time skip. 2 weeks. 2 weeks have passed since the incident. All the heroes focused on capturing the escaped villains, while Yue, the bi-colored boy, spent sleepless nights trying to find his friend. He was always so close, but something was always missing. The green-haired boy was always one step ahead, which annoyed him. Meanwhile, the symbol of peace searched high and low for the freckled boy to apologize, while Izuku watched and laughed at their failures. He also allowed some villains to be captured, as he had a plan. The freckled boy had made great progress in this time. He already had 2 on-us. He had given the doctor some instructions for their creation. The green-haired boy personally trained the villains he had chosen as his knights. The first day of training was disappointing, as they didn't last long. The only one who lasted longer than the others was Afo, as he knew he didn't have to hold back, but still even with all their quirks, they couldn't defeat the green-haired boy. Izuku told them not to be overconfident and to work as a team. This last part annoyed Muscular and Tamura, as it made them look weak. So, Izuku made them work in teams and paired Muscular with Tamura, finding it entertaining to watch them argue over trivial things. He left them to continue training and then withdrew. Upon reaching his throne, he sat down and began observing the heroes. Izuku. I think it's time to start moving the pieces. Meanwhile, in the streets of Japan, students went out to patrol. We see the bi-colored boy walking, lost in thought, when he saw something that snapped him out of it. He saw a hooded figure, but he could see his eyes, those emerald eyes he would recognize anywhere. Shoto. Hey. But he saw the hooded figure start running. Thus began a chase where the bi-colored boy tried to catch up, but the hooded figure was faster. He headed towards the mall where the bi-colored boy desperately searched for the figure, but it was crowded and there was a convention that day with several people wearing hoods. Shoto. This has to be a joke, while continuing to search for the person. Then he saw the person watching him from the second floor and a new chase ensued. The two reached an alley where the bi-colored boy created a wall of ice that blocked the figure's escape. Shoto. Stop right there as he approached. Izuku, I know it's you, but he saw the figure start to laugh. I'm sorry, but I think you've got the wrong person, taking off his hood, revealing himself to be a follower of the green-haired boy. Shoto. But what? Follower? Wow, I thought it would be harder. A dark energy shifted his eyes to dark ones. Shoto. Who are you? Follower. Huh. Who am I? I'm not anyone important. He lowered his head, but when he raised it, he had a macabre smile. For now. Shoto. What do you want? Follower. What I want is to kill you, and then I'll kill that symbol of peace, so he'll see I'm worthy of being a knight. Shoto. Him. Confused. Follower. Whatever. Drawing a sword, it's time to die. He lunged at the bi-colored boy, who dodged. He tried to freeze him, but the man was quite agile, dodging whatever the bi-colored boy threw at him. The battle was difficult for the bi-colored boy, as the man grew faster and faster, hurting him. Shoto tried to call for help, but the man grabbed his phone and destroyed it. But at that moment, the symbol of peace had seen the fight, as he was still searching for his successor, so he decided to help him by giving him a powerful blow to the subject, caused him to destroy a wall. Young Todoroki, are you alright? Shoto. Why yes, getting up. What happened? But before the bi-colored boy could answer, a knife flew straight at the blonde boy, but the bi-colored boy pushed it away, causing the knife to hit him in the shoulder. Subject. Look at that, the symbol of peace. Well, I guess you saved me the time of looking for you. Who are you, villain? Subject. That doesn't matter. He lunged at the blonde boy, but had to dodge a blow. Surrender already. Subject. Never. He lunged again, but the battle was already decided as the symbol of peace began to move quickly, giving the villain strong and consecutive blows, who couldn't defend himself and ended up very badly injured. Subject. I won't I'll lose. I'll show him that I can be a knight. He got up but had some broken bones, falling to his knees while he was spitting out some blood. Young Todoroki, going to help his student. Shoto. I am fine, letting out a groan of pain. We have to take him to get him healed, seeing how the bi-colored boy froze his arm to stop the bleeding. But the two turned around to see the subject who was still on his knees looking at the ground. Subject. WYY hitting the ground after so many years I always dreamed of being one of your knights. What are you talking about? Subject. I think I was right, I don't have what it takes, while picking up the sword and looking at it with nostalgia. At that moment, the wall he had destroyed began to collapse, falling on top of him. The blonde and the bi-colored boy were both shocked, but the symbol of peace quickly took the bi-colored boy to a hospital, noticing the ice covering his arm turning red. The two then left, while atop a building, a figure waited for the heroes to depart. It went to the destroyed wall and began clearing away the rubble, finding the figure slowly dissolving into small black particles. It drew its sword and left before any other heroes arrived. Chapter 11. The figure arrived where the green-haired man was sitting on his throne. He knelt, drew his fallen comrade's sword, and extended it toward the freckled man. Upon seeing the sword, the man was shocked. Figure. Your Majesty, I am very sorry, but Zack died. Izuku. I see. Taking the sword, he stood up and went to a stand where he placed the sword. Izuku. What happened? Figure. Two heroes attacked him. One was the symbol of peace, and the other had hair that was half red and half white. The symbol of peace sent him crashing into a wall, causing it to collapse on top of him. The man with the two-toned hair was injured. Izuku. I see, so it was Almight. His eyes turned red. Figure. My lord, but why so much hatred toward them, especially the symbol of peace? Izuku. Because of a promise I made to the boy, and as you know, I never break my promises. Besides, I sense the energy in him. My old enemy may not have died in our battle and managed to survive, thus leaving descendants. Subject. With all due respect, so you mean the symbol of peace is a descendant of your enemy? Izuku. Perhaps, but it's just a feeling. You can leave. I need to think about what happened. Subject. As you command. He stood up and left the room. Izuku. After all these years, you're still giving me trouble, little brother. He looked at the symbol of peace taking the bi-colored boy to the hospital. 1,000 years ago, after the death of the Shadow King, several doctors were seen trying to heal the one who defeated him. Several hours passed before they managed to stabilize him. A week later, news of the Shadow King's defeat spread throughout the world, and a parade was held in honor of the hero. During those weeks, he spent his time in his castle, constantly thinking about the words his brother had spoken before dying. He spent day and night pondering what he could do. He knew that if his brother returned, he wouldn't be there to stop him. Then, his brother's sword came to mind, and he understood what his brother meant by returning. He ordered his men to search for his brother's sword and placed a huge reward on whoever brought it back. The rumor spread far and wide, and many went to him with a fake sword, identical to the one the Shadow King had used. Years passed, and they didn't find the sword. They only captured those who served the Shadow King, but they wouldn't reveal its location. Some preferred to die rather than divulge the sword's whereabouts. It bothered him because he didn't want future generations to have problems. Years passed, and he married and had a son. He taught him everything he knew so he could stop his brother, of course. He lied about having a brother, only telling him to prepare because the Shadow King might return, and it was his duty to stop him. He also gave him some of his power. The boy swore to his father that if the Shadow King returned, he would stop him. Years passed, and the boy grew into a man, always prepared for when the Shadow King returned. He married and had a daughter. He decided to make it a tradition that future generations would train their children to defeat the Shadow King, but as the years passed, the tradition faded until the present day. We see the green-haired boy walking through the hallways. He remembered that the bi-colored boy had been injured, so he smiled. He went to where the villains were and approached Kurogiri and Stain, sitting down with them. Kurogiri. He needs, while drinking a cup of tea. Izuku. I have a job for you guys, looking at them seriously. Stain. And why us? Why not them instead? Then he sees that the green-haired boy pointed at the other villains and saw that they were making a mess. Then he only saw Tamura being sent flying by Muscular. Hey, Afo, what about him? Izuku. I gave him another job. Besides, I know you guys won't make a mess like they did. Pointing again at Tamura, who got back up but was angry, so he ran towards Muscular and rammed him. The two started fighting, making those around them sweat. Stain. Sighing, fine, what's the job? Izuku. I want you to bring me Shoto Todoroki. Stain. Endeavor's son. Izuku. That's right. Kurogiri. And why do you want us to bring him? As he put down his cup. Izuku. Well, I'm planning to bring the heroes. After all, it's time for my revenge. Smiling sinisterly, sending a shiver down the two villains' spines. Stain. And where will we find him? Izuku. He's in a hospital. Don't worry, he's injured. You leave at night and to avoid being detected, you'll go dressed as doctors. Go get ready. And so they left. When night fell, the villains were already prepared and ready. Kurogiri opened a portal and upon entering, they appeared in the hallways. Stain killed two doctors who were there. They put on their lab coats and masks. Stain thought this was a terrible plan, but he was surprised. Seeing that everyone was greeting him, thinking they were really drive. Stain, he thought, you guys are idiots. Kurogiri said, let's go quickly. They arrived at the bi-colored boy's room, where he was asleep, but he woke up upon hearing footsteps. Shoto asked, is something wrong? Stain replied, don't worry, you'll only feel a small prick. Showing him an injection. Before he could do anything, the bi-colored boy was injected and fell unconscious. Stain said, that was easy. Carrying the bi-colored boy, he said, well, let's go. Kurogiri opened a portal and entered. Chapter 12. The two appeared in front of the green-haired boy, kneeling down. Izuku. I see you've brought our guest. Looking at the unconscious bi-colored boy. Stain. That was easy. Kurogiri. What do you want us to do with him? Izuku. Make him comfortable. After all, he'll be our guest of honor. So the two carried the bi-colored boy to a cell, where they placed him on a bed and left. After a few hours, the bi-colored boy woke up and realized he wasn't in the hospital. Shoto. Where am I? Standing up, he felt a little dizzy. And grabbed his head. He sat down to let the dizziness pass. Once it did, he looked at his arm and saw that it was still bandaged. A small flash of what he had last seen came to mind. Frowning, he stood up and tried to use his quirk, but it didn't work, which he found strange. He remained calm and began to analyze his situation. He noticed that his cell door was open. He got up and left his cell and started walking. He walked through the corridors, always on alert, when some torches suddenly lit up, taking him by surprise. He noticed that the torches only lit up in one direction. Without further ado, he continued along the path, coming to a door. He didn't know what he would find inside, and if there were villains, he wouldn't be able to defend himself since he couldn't use his quirk. But he had no other choice, so he opened the door. When he did, the whole place was dark. He took a few steps when the door suddenly closed, which made him go on guard. Then the light slowly began to turn on, revealing the villains, and what shocked him was seeing the green-haired boy sitting on a throne. Shoto. Izuku, still in shock, he slowly walked towards the green-haired boy, but then two villains appeared behind him, forcing him to his knees. Izuku. Shoto Todoroki, what brings you here? In a subdued voice. Shoto. Izuku, what does this mean? Trying to get up, but it was impossible. Afo. Silence. Show more respect to the king. Shoto. Our king. Confused. The atmosphere was very intense, but it was quickly calmed by the freckled boy. Izuku. Leave us alone. And so everyone withdrew, leaving the green-haired boy and the bi-colored boy alone. Shoto. Izuku, what are you doing with the villains, and what's this about a king? In a serious tone. Izuku. First of all, I'm not the one you know. Shoto. What do you mean by that? But then he saw the lights go out, and when they came back on, the green-haired boy was standing in front of him, which made the bi-colored boy back away, but before he could, the freckled boy grabbed his face and began to showing everything that happened. Once he saw that enough was enough, he let go, causing the bi-colored boy to fall to his knees. Shoto. I impossible. Izuku. I know it's a lot to process. Putting his hand on the bi-colored boy's shoulder. Izuku. Smiling macabrely, your first and only friend, the one who helped you overcome your traumas. As he began to spin around, the one who always looked out for others, the one who, no matter what, would be there to support them. Shoto. Shut up. As several flashbacks came to his mind. Izuku. The one who had a dream of being a hero. Shoto. Shut up. As he couldn't help but start to cry. Izuku. And ended up being betrayed by everyone. Putting his hand to his face. Shoto. Shut up. Holding his head as the words the green-haired boy said to him before his betrayal repeated over and over. Izuku. What a disappointment. You know, there's a saying that goes nothing hurts more than betrayal, while still smiling. Shoto. I said shut up, wanting to hit him, but the freckled boy was faster and knocked him to the ground. Izuku. But you know what, I'm grateful because thanks to that I'm here. Shoto. You bastard, bring Izuku back, but only received a punch. Izuku. Sorry kid, but I'm afraid that's impossible. I guess you won't be able to apologize to him anymore, but if it makes you feel better, imitating the old Izuku. Izuku. Todoroki-kun, do you have something to tell me? In a timid tone. The bi-colored boy was in shock, it was a dream for him, but then he remembered what the Shadow King had shown him. The Shadow King noticed the sudden change and let out a sigh, but then started laughing. Izuku. Hahaha, tell me how I did, judging by your expression I'd say I did well. Shoto. You wretch, wanting to hit him. Izuku. You know, stopping the bi-colored boy's attack, you have guts and I like that. For now, feel honored that I didn't kill you. He snapped his fingers and two villains appeared and took the bi-colored boy away while he struggled. The green-haired boy watched as they took the bi-colored boy away. As the door closed, the green-haired boy sat back down on his throne. For now. Meanwhile, at the hospital, there were quite a few police officers and heroes. Almight. How come you haven't seen young Todoroki? Doctor. We're sorry, Almight, but our cameras haven't seen him leave. Thus began a small discussion. At UA, we can see an ash-blonde boy in the principal's office talking to the principal. Principal. What can I do for you, young Katsuki? Katsuki. Principal, I'd like to ask you to put me in a more advanced class, since those extras are simply holding me back. Nezu. Stopping drinking his tea, and would you like to explain why? Katsuki. I already told you, those extras are holding me back. They're not at my level. Part of the damned half and half. Nezu. I'm sorry, young Katsuki, but I'm afraid I can't do that. Katsuki. TSK, fine. Thus leaving, he punched the wall, leaving a small hole. Nezu. Sighing, everything is going from bad to worse. Back with the bi-colored boy, he was in his cell, which had been remodeled a bit. He couldn't accept that his friend would never return, and so he began to unleash all his fury. Meanwhile, the green-haired boy was talking to Afo while they played chess. Afo. Why are you letting him live? Moving a piece. Izuku. Because I already have the pieces I need, and now it's time to put them all in place to achieve my victory. Well, delivering checkmate, now go warn the others. Afo. As you say. Thus leaving. Izuku. The end is near. While watching the ash-haired boy through a portal. Chapter 13. The days passed, and the freckled boy already had a huge army. He had several Nana stacked up like soldiers while he watched Afo imbue them with some of his quirks. The moment had arrived. He wouldn't let anything or anyone stop him. He left the place and went to his throne. Once there, he ordered Kurogiri to gather the other knights. Kurogiri bowed and withdrew. After a few minutes, the knights had arrived and they all knelt before the freckled boy. Izuku. The moment has arrived. Today you will attack the city and eliminate all those who oppose my reign. He then took a goblet and cut himself, letting his blood fall into it until it was full. Izuku. Drink it and you will have the power you have so desired. Muscular took the goblet and drank a little, then gave it to Tamura, and little by little, everyone drank it. Muscular. I don't feel any different. Izuku. Smiling, that's what you think. Why don't you go and find out? Meanwhile, the UA team is gathered in the principal's office for a meeting. All the heroes are present. Nezu. Silence, please. He takes a sip of his tea. I've gathered you here for a reason, and that is the whereabouts of young Izuku Midoriya. As he says this, the atmosphere becomes tense. Nezu. You see, as you know, there's a forest where anyone who enters disappears. Receiving a nod from all the heroes. I have a hunch that young Midoriya is in that forest. Leaving everyone in shock. Izawa. Are you sure, Principal? Surprised. Nezu. Yes, I am. You see, showing some images, a fog appeared in the forest some time after young Midoriya escaped. Almight. But how is it possible for fog to appear suddenly? Young Midoriya doesn't have a quirk like that. Nezu. I don't know that yet, but what I am sure of is that young Midoriya is there. Almight. Then there's no time to lose. Standing up. Then they heard a huge explosion coming from the city. The news reported that the villains were attacking, so the principal ordered the heroes to go and stop them. But those who wanted to bring the freckled boy back refused, so the principal decided to split them into two groups. Once that was done, the heroes quickly left for the city, while Izawa went to his class and explained the situation. The students were excited because they were going to get their friend back, but the only one who wasn't happy was the ash-haired boy, who just clenched his fists. The students put on their hero costumes, while the other classes also got ready to help the heroes. All of this was seen by the green-haired boy. Izuku. Let the games begin. Meanwhile, in the city, the villains began to cause chaos. Then Afo stepped forward. Afo. Anyone who refuses to obey our king will be eliminated. At that moment, the heroes appeared. Endeavor. Stop. You're under arrest. The atmosphere became tense. Muscular stepped forward. Muscular. I'll take care of the number 2 hero, while displaying a psychopathic smile. Thus, the two sides launched themselves, starting a war. The bi-colored boy had heard the explosion and looked out a window and saw that a lot of smoke was coming from the city. Shoto. Izuku, what have you done? He stood up and devised a way to escape. Almight, Aizawa, along with Class 1A, had arrived at the forest. Almight. Alright, whatever happens, don't separate. But it was too late as the ash-haired boy was launched by his explosions. Tatsuki. Deku. While quickly entering the fog. Aizawa. Letting out a sigh, I think it would be best to go after him. So everyone went in the direction the Muslim boy had been launched. The freckled boy began giving orders to everyone so that get ready. Then he contacts Toga. Izuku. Have you arrived at the position I assigned you? Toga. Nope, not yet. She was sitting on the shoulder of a Nonu while wearing a colonel's cap. Izuku. Remember the plan. You'll attack when Kurogiri gives you the signal. Toga. Yes, I haven't forgotten. She remembers how Izuku warned her that if she failed, he would kill her and then use her body to make a Nonu that would be useful as a footstool, which sent a shiver down her spine. Izuku. Well, I have to go. I have to greet my guests. Chapter 14. The green-haired boy stepped onto the balcony where his soldiers were ready to fight. He focused on a specific direction where trees were collapsing and smoke was billowing out, all caused by the ash blonde. Izuku. Wow, that kid would have a bright future in demolitions, he thought. As the image of Katsuki flashed through his mind. Get everything ready, the heroes will be here soon. Commander, yes sir. He looked at his platoon. You heard me, kill as many as you can. We will not back down for our Shadow King. Raising his sword. For the king. They marched toward the enemy. The freckled boy's troops deployed, forming up, ready for the hero's arrival. The green-haired boy saw 6 people approaching at high speed. They were none other than the big 3, along with Aizawa and Almight, but the one far ahead of them was the freckled boy's childhood friend, Katsuki Bakugo. He was clearing a path through their explosions and using the little bit of Ofa. Izuku had. Nothing will stop me now, grabbing his sword and placing it on his back, with his power he created armor as black as night, he went out onto the balcony and began to chant. At that moment everyone saw how little by little the sun began to hide and the moon appeared. This surprised everyone, including the heroes. Almight. But what's happening? Aizawa. The moon just came out. Mirio. But it's only 3 in the afternoon. Najire. Could it be a new phenomenon, or maybe an anomaly, or maybe. Mirio. Najire, that's enough, this isn't the time. Najire. I'm sorry. Tamaki. It's cold, he spoke timidly. At that moment everyone realized that the temperature was starting to drop. Aizawa. But what's happening? While they continued on, the villains were fighting the heroes. Afo. Alright, let phase 2 begin. So everyone started to follow the green-haired boy's plan. Flashback. Izuku. Afo, wait. Afo. Is something wrong, master? Izuku. Izuku. I'll give you a signal to begin phase 2 of the plan. Afo. And what will that signal be? Izuku. I'll make it night, but doing so will cause me to lose half my power and it will take me days to recover it. Afo. But the heroes will attack you. A little uneasy. Izuku. Don't worry. Even if I lose half my power, I'll still be at the level to fight against the symbol of peace. Afo. I understand. A little calmer, and what is it you want us to do? Izuku. People will be confused by what happened. If they see that the heroes outnumber them, they should start taking hostages. Afo. But with the power you gave us, we can fight them. Izuku. I know, there's no doubt about that, but we have to play strategically. We'll expose the fake heroes. Afo. I understand. So, if the heroes attack us while we have hostages, people will see what they are. Izuku. Exactly, and at that precise moment, we'll use it to our advantage. We'll be the heroes, and they'll be the villains. While showing a sadistic smile. Afo. But what if it doesn't work? Izuku. There's a 50% chance it will work and a 50% chance it won't. This time, only luck will decide. Then flashback. The villains took the hostages who were closest to them. The heroes didn't know what to do. They didn't have time to think of a plan. So, some heroes quickly launched themselves with their quirks active. People didn't believe it. The hostages closed their eyes, thinking it would be their end, but after a few seconds, nothing happened. Opening them, they found Muscular, who had positioned himself in front, taking the impact. Muscular? How boring. Grabbing, he grabbed 2 heroes and lifted them up. I thought they were stronger, thus slamming them to the ground, killing them in the process. What a nuisance protecting them, looking at the hostages. Tamura. Just follow orders. He yelled angrily. The other heroes who also jumped were eliminated by Stain, who had a smile on his face since he eliminated fake heroes. Afo. Listen to me well, now tell me which of the two is the villain here. Well, looking at the people, they, pointing at the heroes, only seek fame and money, they don't care about hurting innocent people. At that moment all the villains released the hostages. I know we do the same, but we don't seek fame or money, the only thing we seek is to teach and unmask the fake heroes that exist. At that moment he saw that the UA students had arrived, and they too. The future generation of heroes will do the same, so kneel and give loyalty to our king, he will solve all your problems, it doesn't matter if we have quirks or not, in the end we're all human. I waited a few minutes, then the heroes and students were about to attack the villains, but then the non-us appeared. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense as people pondered what the number one villain had said. A family pushed their way through the heroes and students, reaching the front of the villains. Judging by their clothing, they were poor, and everyone present was shocked when they heard the following words. Father. Really, your king can give us a better life. The villain looked at his family and saw that they had no shoes and their clothes were worn out. He heard Afo say to some of them. That's right, you just have to be loyal to him. Father. Then, kneeling, followed by his wife and children, we promise to serve you for the rest of our lives. Afo. Good. Using what he had learned from the green-haired man, he made a small chant and the family's clothes became like new. Nonu, take them from here. The Nonu appeared in front of the family, frightening them, but then signaled for them to follow. Hero 1. What is he doing? They're villains. But little by little, people began to kneel, showing that they would serve the Shadow King. The heroes were going to protest, but the people insulted them or threw things at them, making them retreat. Afo, he did it, sir. He thought to himself while smiling at what he was seeing. Chapter 15. Back with the freckled boy, he was waiting for the ash blonde boy, his eyes closed, alert to his surroundings. Izuku. He's here. He put his hand out in front of him, grabbing the ash blonde boy's hand. Because of the speed at which Katsuki was moving, the freckled boy backed up a couple of meters. Katsuki. Damn Deku. As he threw a kick at his face, which was easily blocked by Izuku. The ash blonde boy tried to land a punch, but all of them were blocked by the freckled boy. At that moment, Izuku had to retreat as a flash of light quickly headed towards them, but it was too late, as the freckled boy was sent flying by the impact of the symbol of peace. The attack was so powerful that part of the freckled boy's armor shattered. Almight. Young Midoriya, in a serious tone. Izuku. Well, look who we have here, if it isn't the symbol of peace. Almight. Young Izuku, approaching him and kneeling, please forgive me, I'm so sorry. Izuku. All Might, approaching him. At that moment, the symbol of peace saw the green-haired boy smile at him, a smile that conveyed peace and tranquility. Without thinking, the symbol of peace hugged him. All of this was seen by the ash blonde boy, who only became angrier, activating what little he had of One for All. Meanwhile, Izuku's kind smile changed to a macabre one. He grabbed his sword and plunged it into the blonde boy. Izuku. I'm not the one you're looking for. At that moment, the symbol of peace saw the freckled boy's eyes glow red. All Might. Who are you? While holding the wound. Izuku. I am, while plunging his sword deeper, making the blonde boy spit blood, the Shadow King, thus removing the sword, causing the symbol of peace to lose his muscular form and fall to the ground as a pool of blood appeared. Katsuki. You, throwing himself at the green-haired boy, I'll kill you. As he began to throw deadly blows that Izuku simply deflected or blocked, the ash-haired boy removed the safety pins from his gloves. Katsuki. Die. He created a large explosion that destroyed half of the freckled boy's castle. This caused the area where the bi-colored boy was to collapse, allowing him to escape. While trying to get out, the bi-colored boy realized he was wearing a collar that prevented him from using his quirk. From the rubble, he grabbed something to break the collar. Returning to the fight, Katsuki gradually lost speed and his explosions diminished. Katsuki. But what? Somewhat tired. Izuku. Looks like you can't keep going anymore. In a mocking tone. Katsuki. Shut up. He threw a punch aimed at the face, but it was stopped by the freckled boy. Izuku. I'm afraid your power has run out. Red lightning crackled in his hand, and with a single blow, he sent the ash blonde flying, crashing into several trees and rocks, leaving him in a very serious condition. Just then, Aizawa and the big three arrived and were shocked to see the symbol of peace dead. Aizawa. Be careful. As he prepared to fight. The big three also prepared for combat, launching themselves at Aizawa, who activated his quirk and wrapped his bandages around the green-haired boy. But then the Shadow King broke free, grabbed the bandages, and pulled him towards him, delivering a punch that broke some of his ribs. The freckled boy then received the impact of Najair's shockwaves and saw a fist slam into his face, making him stumble back. Tatsumaki took advantage of this and grabbed his feet with his tentacles, whipping him around repeatedly. Izuku. That's it. He got up. At that moment, Tatsumaki threw his tentacles again, but they were grabbed. The freckled boy began to spin, causing the black-haired boy to spin as well. He released him, sending him flying. Mirio went underground to avoid being hit, but in doing so, he caused Tatsumaki to collide with Najire. The freckled boy activated Ofa and began to brutally attack both of them. Mirio emerged from the ground and punched him in the jaw. "Mirio, don't forget about me." Thus began a fight where Mirio had the upper hand as he passed through all of the freckled boy's attacks. But then, instead of attacking him, the freckled boy decided to attack his friends with his sword, which caused Mirio to step in front, receiving the attack on his shoulder. Izuku. Love is one's worst weakness. As he drove deeper, causing Mirio to groan in pain, the freckled boy drew his sword and was about to plunge it in again, this time to kill him, he was grabbed by Izawa's bandages. Izuku. Hey, pulling the black-haired boy towards him and grabbing him by the neck, "You're a nuisance," slamming him to the ground, knocking him unconscious. The freckled boy was ready to end it all at once, but before he could, ice spikes flew straight towards him, which the freckled boy cut through. Shoto. That was enough, while both his quirks were activated, he launched a fireball followed by spikes that the freckled boy dodged. Just then, someone caught his attention. Itsuki. Damn, half and half, don't get involved in my fight, while trying to stay on his feet. Izuku. Hey, I see you're still alive. Well, creating two swords, how about a sword duel? So, throwing the swords to them, the bi-colored and the ash-haired boy caught them. As they did, Kitsuki's wounds healed and armor appeared on both of them. Kitsuki's armor was gold, while Shoto's was white with some red parts. They were both surprised until they heard what the green-haired boy said. Izuku. Now we're even, and I have a proposition for you. Interesting his opponents, if you win, I'll grant you anything you want. Power, wealth, anything you desire. This interested the ash-haired boy. Shoto. But what if you win? Izuku. You'll serve me. So, what do you say? With an evil smile. Shoto Kitsuki. We accept. Getting into fighting stances. Chapter 16. The green-haired boy put on his helmet, the tension was palpable in the air. A leaf fell from a tree, and as it hit the ground, the duel began. Shoto and Kitsuki attacked independently, while the green-haired boy simply toyed with them. The bi-colored boy threw several fireballs to distract the green-haired boy. Kitsuki tried to slash him, but Izuku was faster, grabbing his foot and sending him crashing into the bi-colored boy. Kitsuki. Damn nerd. Angrily, as he stood up. Shoto. Kitsuki. Kitsuki. What do you want, you damn half and half? Can't you see we're in a fight? Angrily. Shoto. Listen, I don't like you, and you don't like me either, but if we don't work together, we won't get anywhere. Seriously and angrily. The ash-blonde boy didn't want to accept, but seeing that they couldn't do it separately, he swallowed his pride. Kitsuki. Sighing, fine, you got a plan, you damn half and half. Shoto. We have to cloud their vision, if we manage to blind him for a few minutes we can stop him. Kitsuki. Stop him, we have to kill him. He killed Almight. Shoto. No, if we manage to stop him we can find a way to return him to normal, not wanting his friend to die. Kitsuki. TSK, fine. So Shoto threw an ice pick that the green-haired boy cut in half, but when he cut it, a ball of fire was directed towards him. Upon contact with the ice, it created a small curtain of vapor that prevented the green-haired boy from seeing. When the fog dissipated, the Shadow King saw that the ash-haired boy was close to him. Kitsuki. Shiny. While high-fiving the green-haired boy, upon contact with the freckled boy's face, he created an explosion that sent the green-haired boy flying. Kitsuki. Good. Excited. Shoto. Watch out. Creating a wall of ice that stopped the freckled boy's sword, which became embedded in the ice. Izuku. I didn't expect that. He spoke while his helmet was completely destroyed, so he took it off and threw it away. He then approached where his sword was and retrieved it. The ash-haired boy and the bi-colored boy stepped back, getting into fighting stances. Meanwhile, the villains were getting rid of the heroes while escorting people toward the green-haired boy's castle. The heroes didn't know what to do since they didn't want to hurt the civilians. Stain and Muscular were taking care of eliminating the heroes. Stain was taking out the fake heroes, while Muscular was simply eliminating anyone who crossed his path. Back at the fight, some structures were on fire, while the ground was frozen and some parts were covered with ice spikes. The bi-colored boy and the ash-haired boy were winning the fight. Shoto. Come on, we've got him. At that moment, the ash-haired boy took advantage of the green-haired boy recovering from his attack, running towards him and plunging his sword through his armor. The freckled boy fell to his knees, blood trickling from his mouth. Kitsuki. This is for Almight. He plunged the sword in further, causing the freckled boy to groan in pain. The bi-colored boy was clearly shocked. Izuku. Smiling maniacally, I thought you might be useful, but I see you're not worth it. He plunged his sword into Kitsuki, causing him to fall to the ground. The freckled boy withdrew his sword, creating a pool of blood on the agonizing ash-haired boy's body. Izuku. This is annoying. He pulled out the sword Kitsuki had buried in him, causing him to spit out a little blood, then used his magic to stop the bleeding. The bi-colored boy grabbed his sword, but before he knew it, the freckled boy had grabbed his head and impaled it on an ice spike, causing the bi-colored boy to Izuku spits blood. Well, at least you'll see your friend. With that, he walked away. Shoto watched a green-haired boy stretch out his hand, his vision blurring. Shoto. Izuku. Closing his eyes, he watched as the villains arrived and surveyed the destruction. They went to the throne room, which was destroyed, but fortunately, the throne remained intact. Then they saw the freckled boy appear. Everyone stood to the sides, even the civilians. Izuku walked over, and as he passed, everyone bowed. When he reached his throne, he sat down. Afo stood in front of him. Afo. Master, I brought you this, showing him a crown. Izuku lowered his head, and the number 1 villain placed it on his head. He turned to face everyone. Afo. Long live the Shadow King. Everyone. Long live the king. Izuku smiled, knowing that in the end, no one could stop him. The end. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.